Okay, so you're thinking about living in Colorado, but you're not exactly sure what it's all about or its overall vibe? Well, stick with me because today in this video we're going to talk about several things you need to know about living here in the Mile High City, especially when it comes to wintertime. Let's get after it right now. Now, my name's Adam, and if it's your first time to the channel, welcome. Go ahead, tap that bell, hit subscribe, find all my contact information in the description below because I talk to people just like you all the time. We're going to talk about some things about Denver and Colorado that some people might just not know without being here. Now, a lot of people might imagine or picture what the Rocky Mountains look like, all the snow, and that sort of thing. But the reality is, there's almost two different worlds, if you will. One here in the Front Range in the Eastern Plains, and another world up in the mountains past the foothills. So what's going on down here may not be the same as what's going on up in the mountains. Some of the reasons for that is because the mountains, basically, it's a rural area, right? When you find a town or a city, generally speaking, it's confined to a geographical area like a valley or a river basin. It's not spread out because there is no room to spread out like you would here in the Denver metro area, where urban sprawl has just been taking over for the past decade or so. So life in the mountains is much different than life here on what we call the Front Range. And depending on what you're looking for, whether it be your closest neighbor being 5 miles away or your favorite coffee shop being 5-minute walk away, that will dictate where you might start searching for a place to live. Second thing I want to talk about that you probably wouldn't know until you got here was the false spring. And really what that means is sometimes during the winter we'll have a stretch of unseasonal weather, meaning much higher temperatures than average. In fact, we're going through one right now and it's the end of February. The funny thing is we have more than one fall spring, generally speaking. So there are a couple times throughout the winter where the sun comes out, melts all the snow, it feels like spring, and then bam, after a few days, we get another snowstorm, and Mother Nature reminds us that, yes, it is still winter. One thing that helps during the winter time is having a property that faces south, because where Colorado is situated on the globe, the sun is much lower in the sky and therefore casts lots of shadows, and in some cases it doesn't even hit the north side of properties. I'm talking sidewalks and driveways mostly. When you've got a property that faces south, most of the time the sun takes care of all the shoveling for you. It gets warm enough to where it just melts away and you don't have to worry about it. It's also nice because you can open up your curtains, let that sun come on into the house. Your plants will love it, and so will you. Having that sun really helps get you through the day, because I know some places have to deal with those long gray days where you don't see sun for hours, maybe even days at a time, which would be brutal. We get these false springs and sunshine sprinkled in throughout the winter doesn't mean that seasonal depression isn't a thing. It's real. For a lot of people, moving to Colorado means having lots of outdoor adventures, being active, being fit, being social. And there are times in the winter, yes there are, even between these fall springs, where temperatures drop below zero for hours and sometimes even days at a time. You feel stuck inside. You don't want to go anywhere just because it looks miserable out. And, maybe cuddling up on the couch with the blanket to watch movies or shows is all you feel like doing. And after a few days of that, I don't know about you, but for me, I feel really cooped up and start to feel that cabin fever. So seasonal depression is real. Places like Seattle, where it rains a lot, or maybe Alaska, when at particular parts of the year the sun doesn't even rise or set, depending on summer or winter. But just because we have 300 days of sunshine a year doesn't mean that seasonal depression wouldn't kick in on one of those rainy, gloomy days. Heck, I might even argue that because we have such great weather, the days that we don't impact you a little bit more. If a study was done, I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. Now, of course, the winter brings snow, as we've mentioned. It brings holidays, it brings family times together. And another cool thing about the Denver area is that there are tons of holiday markets, and the biggest one that I can think of is the Chris Kendall Market in downtown Denver. And it's just a fun time to get together, listen to some polka music, shop local artisans, and experience the holiday season together. Now, if you do end up going to one of these celebrations, be sure to layer up, because another thing people might not know about Colorado is the extreme temperature changes from hot to cold or vice versa. And we've talked about a little bit about that with regard to Fall Springs, but even within a day time frame, when the sun is out, it feels really warm, it's really beating on you, you might not need a coat. But once that sun sets, boy, I'll tell you what, it gets cold. So remember to always layer up, whether you're going on a walk or heck, even to run some errands. Throw on a little zip-up hoodie or a vest, because chances are after an hour or so, you might start to feel a little warm and you'll want to shed that layer just to keep you comfortable. I mean, layers are necessary even if you're skiing or snowboarding on the mountain. You look at the temperature, it says 20 degrees. You bundle up and get 3 different coats on, only to realize that after an hour or two of treading the mountain, you're sweating, you're thirsty, you're hot. So, off comes a layer. Maybe open up a vent in your jacket or pants just so you can cool down. Now, speaking of cool down, one of the great relaxers is jumping into a hot tub. Take that to another level and visit one of the 29 hot springs that the state of Colorado has to offer. That's a really fun thing to do in this winter time, especially when it's snowing, you're in the mountains, it's cold out, but you're in a hot spring feeling nice and relaxed. There are hot springs that you can drive up to and are well known, like Strawberry Fields or Glenwood Springs. But then there are other hot springs that you need to hike several miles to get to and are extremely secluded. Some of them are kid friendly and some of them are clothing optional. But regardless, hanging out in a hot spring in the wintertime within the Rocky Mountains is definitely something I would recommend, whether you're living here or visiting. And regardless if you live here or if you are visiting, one thing you will notice in the wintertime is how brown everything is. I mean, Colorado is a dry state, and during the wintertime, you will see a brown landscape coupled with the trees that lose their leaves. It can make Colorado look barren. Not only is the landscape dry and brown, your skin and your lips become very dry as well. Chapstick and hydration is a must, especially in the wintertime. And you might not even think of it being dry in the winter, given that it's not 70 plus degrees outside. But in fact, the dry air is a constant here in Colorado. So whether you're thinking about moving in 9 days or 9 months, give me a call, shoot me a text, send me an email. I'd love to just have a conversation with you about possibly making a smooth move here to the Mile High City. So until next time, we'll see you around town.